So my name is John Mertic. I am the community manager for SugarCRM. Just a couple basic contact info for me, some more my personal stuff, and then the more SugarCRM-y stuff, our website, SugarForge, which is kind of like a repository of all sorts of open source add-ons to SugarCRM, and Twitter, which for some reason the Twitter handle is not showing on the screen, which is kind of odd. But normally there's a Twitter handle, SugarCRM Dev. If you follow that, that's where we post updates and blog posts and things like that of related SugarCRM development and the community at large. So for this talk today, I kind of want to set the stage a little bit and talk a little bit about CRM kind of generically and kind of a little bit of where we think CRM is going to be, and then how telephony plays into that, and then show some examples of where the natural integrations between telephony, like Asterisk, and CRM, like Sugar, kind of fit in together, right? So let's start here. What is CRM, okay? So CRM is simply customer relationship management. It's about customers, and more specifically, it's about growing and retaining your customer base, right? And typically when we think of CRM, we think of like the sales guy, right? We see him; he's like trying to pitch stuff and everything, and his whole goal is he's trying to be like mother sheep to all of the little lambs out there, right? Of all their little customers, making sure they're all in line, everything's good and everything, right? And for that, CRM's kind of been stuck in a box a little bit, right? Because we always think of it's just something that salespeople use. It's nothing for a company in general. It's nothing like an organizational strategy, if you would. But it's kind of a narrow view, right? There's a lot that it can provide the company as a whole, and you kind of have to take the kind of the blinders off and think of it less as a selling strategy, but more of a kind of a platform for your business, right? So when you take that off, all of a sudden, other sorts of industries kind of come up, like, for example, healthcare. CRM's a very huge thing in healthcare, and it's not about selling, per se, things. It's, managing patient health. Construction. We have a lot of people who use SugarCRM in construction thing and using for project and resource management, contracting with vendors, things like that. And even education, where, managing that students, managing the student-teacher relationships, classes, things like that, both at the primary, secondary, and at collegiate level as well, and all sorts of different facets of that. So it's really kind of taking the whole kind of idea of CRM and taking it out of this concept of it's a box, it's an app, you go down to Staples down the street, you buy a copy of ACT, you put it in your computer, life is good, right? It's taking it out of that and saying CRM is not an application, but it's a platform for your business. And when you do that, it kind of changes that C out in front, because a lot of time, you're not necessarily selling something to somebody, right? You're managing a connection between different entities that you work with. So with that, where we see CRM going is this concept called XRM, where it's anything relationship management, where we're relating any sorts of information together. And this here now we're talking connections, and we're talking about building and fostering those connections. So let's go back through a couple of the people we've talked about here. So we have the douchebag sales guy. I hope nobody's sales guys here, because that'd be kind of mean. We know the connections he's managing. He's managing the people that he's trying to hawk things off to, right? But let's think about healthcare. We're managing a different sort of connection here. We're not managing something we're selling to. We're not managing an opportunity. We're not managing we're managing healthcare. We're managing patient care. We're managing health history, things of that nature. In construction, please go up. There we go. When we're looking at construction, now we're not necessarily managing individual people. Maybe we're kind of managing a project, and all of the entities of how that project work along, and those vendors that you're working with. Imagine if you're a general contractor, you could be using this to manage all of your subcontractors and everything, right? And education, naturally, same sort of thing. You have a huge student base. You're managing that student base. You're not selling things to your students, because that's wrong. But you're managing that that customer teacher, customer educator, customer classroom experience, or I'm sorry, student experience. So as CRM kind of grows out of this landscape now into this XRM landscape, we're out of this application mode. We're out of this is an app that you use. Now it's a platform for your business, and you have things that integrate back in with that. And one of them naturally is telephony, right? Because every organization out there uses a darn phone. And looking at where telephony is today, we came from the days of the operators and everything plugging things into walls and stuff and transferring your calls, kind of that old analog-y sort of thing. And now it's all digital, right? We have SIP phones, we have desktop clients, we have mobile, we have all sorts of things we have to contend with. And the vast amount, and where SugarCRM has kind of helped push CRM forward out of this idea of this client-servery, managing salespeople sorts of thing. Asterisk has kind of done the same thing. It's taken it out of, this person, pulling analog plugs out and things like that into a more, the whole digital landscape and how it encompasses a lot more than that. So we kind of see, SugarCRM and Asterisk as kind of like, friends, right? They kind of meet naturally right at the hip. And SugarCRM is actually has currently, as a part of the Digium product, the Switchbox product, actually has an integration already into it. It's kind of a very rudimentary one. I think it's in the app dashboard where you can see the caller and information stuff. It kind of brings the CRM information back into it. And this is actually one of the oldest. I was talking to the community manager Brian Johns of Digium. This is actually one of the oldest integrations of Asterisk is with SugarCRM. And as for that matter, it's kind of also one of the most stale ones because it's not really much has gone on with it. And this is kind of the tip of the iceberg, right? This is like the 2000s view of how you would integrate CRM and telephony together. But people want more than that. People aren't really content with that kind of little minute view of the world there. They want different things. So things that people want: click to call. Right? They're in their browser, they're looking at records, they see a phone number, they want to click it and be able to make a phone call right away, right in their browser, without having to go pick up a phone, without having to memorize and look back and forth on the numbers and all that kind of stuff right there. Very, very straightforward integration. And at the same time, they want to be able to handle those incoming calls. So if somebody calls into them, they want to have an agent pop up, be able to immediately direct them to the customer, the contact, the individual, the person, whomever in their CRM system, of who they're going to be, who this person is. Pull some of that caller ID information, make it a little bit more intelligent that way. And then take, the information, the fact that they made this call, whether it's outbound or inbound, and record it back into the CRM system. So that way, you're not having to manually update about 12 different places. It's automatically happening through time. Another big thing is campaign handling. So, and we're going to show some demos of things that kind of exist currently within the Sugar universe to handle this sort of thing. Lots of places do phone campaigns, where they say, hey, if you want to upgrade to HBO, call such and such number. Wouldn't it be nice to kind of have that handled automatically, like right through the VoIP system down, back into your CRM system? You can measure campaign analytics, things like that, right from that. That's a natural application. And call metrics, and this is true if you're running this is especially true if you're running a call center. You want to metric, how effective your calls are, how much time your agents are spending on the phone, length of calls, things like that. All of this stuff is there in Asterisk, and connecting it to Sugar gives you a database in the back end to kind of manage that and report on it really easily, and integrate it all together. So let's look at click to call, and this is something that it's always kind of like the first integration with anything is this click to call, because it's a relatively simple one. There's a whole bunch of, browser-based plugins and hooks, for all the various, telephony providers, not just limited to Asterisk. Skype has it, all of them have it. And here's one that a project on SugarForge. It's the Sugar Dialer by Richload Systems, I believe. There's the URL project at the bottom, and they sell it on Sugar Exchange. Basically, all it is, it's a very simple thing. It's just adding, you see a phone number, add a little button there. It says, click this. It makes a phone call. Very, very simple integration, and saves your people time. They're not having to go pick up the phone to make a call. They can click right from there, and you can record a lot of this analytics of the fact they made outbound calls right from the Sugar side. So if you're interested in that, if you look on SugarForge, there's actually a lot of different Asterisk integrations. This is one I just happened to pick out because it had a really good screenshot. But you definitely look at the project there and just search it, Sugar Forge or Asterisk, and you can find a whole bunch of different ones that people are working on. For incoming calls, when I was pulling together this presentation, I was working with a really advanced customer of ours, Affinity 4 in Virginia, and they manage a call center, and they've done some really deep Sugar Asterisk integrations on their own. And I'm working with them to kind of hopefully open source a lot of that so people can kind of build upon the solutions that they worked with. But one that they really did here was the ability that have an agent on their machine. When an incoming call came in, it could launch up the Sugar client. And they were nice enough to provide a short video on how it works, which I'll try to talk through as we're going here. So let's see. Hopefully this works relatively well. OK, so you can see here we have an incoming call coming in down at the bottom, and hopefully somebody should answer it. And when it comes up, it kicks open our browser, and now we have a split view. And for those who familiar with the Sugar UI, this is kind of the normal kind of search UI here. But the interesting thing is it's already grabbing the phone number from here, hooking it into the search UI, so it's searching on that, and then throwing that information out onto a sidebar that exists out there, which the goal of it is so that as they're putting notes in the system, they have one place they can put everything. They can record the information about the call and whatnot. But if they need to look up stuff for the call while they're on the phone with the person, they can navigate Sugar with ease, and they're not losing that that note view right there on the side. It makes it really simple. And you can see here for this customer here, they have a lot of stuff integrated. You can see they have notes, calls, and stuff integrated. Products that they own. Invoices, the bills that we sent out, so if somebody calls up and you can see right away, hey, they haven't paid their bill, maybe we should mention that to them. You can see that right away. Lots of good stuff here. I might kind of skip ahead a little bit because this video is actually a little bit long, especially if it dulls out a little bit. One thing I want to, oops, hold on. Oh, good, now my power won't go out. Let me skip ahead just a little bit here. So here you can see them working on the side. So they've found some of the information. Look, and now they're filling out the side here, where it gives them a way they can create a note really easily on the fly. So here they're saying with the subject of the notes, they have it categorized. It's automatically related to the customer, and then they can throw a note right there in the note field. And the split view makes it really easy for them to work. They're not having to work off of two different screens. They have one screen right there on the side they can work off of. Makes it really easy. Feel free if you have questions about anything I'm showing, just holler, and I can pass the mic over. So as you can see, this here is helping the call agent's job work effectively. They're not, when somebody calls in, they're not having to go search on manually. It's automatically pulling the caller ID information from Asterisk, populating it into the CRM, doing a search, linking up the people, go. Really nice integration. Yes, I probably should hand you a mic if somebody will hear you. For this one here?
Bria or something like when that video you just showed right there.
I think they were.
That event where you actually answer the call, is that something that's configured through XLite or iBeam, or is that?
I don't know the exact configuration. I believe, I know they have a custom agent they have on the Sugar side. We could probably go back and see.
It looks like when you answered the call, it fired some event which triggered that to it.
Yeah. There's an event on the SIP side that when that kicks up, it throws an event right into Sugar to launches basically Sugar on their web browser. So no problem. Yeah. Okay. So let's let's take a look at the next thing. So campaign management. We can skip ahead here. So let's set the stage here. So let's say, like I said, somebody. You're managing a call center or whatever, and you put a little thing at the bottom of the bill, say, hey, you want to upgrade to HBO? It's $10 a month. Call such and such number. There's a lot of different ways you can go around it. One, you could say when the people call in, they could say, hey, I saw the HBO promotion on my bill. Can I get that? And then they can record all the information and put it in. That's one way, obviously. But another, let's say you have a nice block of 800 numbers available to you. and you say, okay, I'm going to put a unique 800 number for this campaign in there. So then when somebody calls in your Asterisk system on that 800 number, we automatically know the reason, we know that number they're calling in on. We automatically know the reason why they're calling. It's for that campaign. So we can immediately link those things up. We have the caller ID information of the user, and we can all kind of mishmash it together really easily and be able to do analytics without a whole lot of work on the call center agent's part. So let's kind of take a look at a video of them doing this here. So we can see they're logging into their Sugar instance. And they're going to they're just showing off their screen here. And they have a Java update available apparently. So they have a whole block of 800 numbers here, which they can assign out to campaigns and whatnot. And they're showing a little bit of the module, how it works. So they're going to search here for an 800 number that they have currently in their system here. And we'll take a look at it. And you can see here this 800 number is linked to a campaign. And we also have some campaign data with it. So we can take a look here. And it has the information linking what the hold music is and whatnot. So if we take a look at the campaign, this is just a standard Sugar campaign in the background. So we can leverage the already existing campaigns module in Sugar to kind of manage all of the bits and pieces, with all the analytics parts of it. But have an 800 number module up on the front end that kind of does all the fun work. We can also have a script in there as well, so that when somebody calls in on this 800 number, they have a script immediately they can work off of. And you can see here that the script here filling in, of what's going on there, and they can edit it. It's standard HTML and all that kind of good stuff. And we have some campaign data. So because we can pull in the 800 number information in and whatnot, we can record how many calls have been coming in, how many calls this week, how many sales have came out of this call. Because if somebody is going to do a sale, they're going to do it on the phone with them, so they can add the invoice, add the order for it. That can link up to say, hey, this is a successful converted campaign. We can indicate this is a sale that came out of it. And then furthermore, within that customer, you can see what calls they've made into what campaigns. All of that stuff is very interlinked now, all together. And here's the detail of the call that came in. It's automatically recorded. The notes about it, the number that they called in on. We have the recording of the call they made in here, so you can go and measure their performance after the fact, and a link right back to the customer who did call in right away, and all of the information back to the customer record. So you can see it kind of all winds itself back together, and we're all leveraging data that's already existing out in the system, but just being able to pull it together intelligently to save the time of the call center agent actually having to manually plug all these things in. We can just leverage the data that's coming right in to us from Asterisk right away, and plug it in all over the place in Sugar. So it makes it really, really useful. And then we can also see our traffic here of the calls that have came in. So we can say, look at, for a particular 800 number, show me all the traffic that's came between these dates, and what the, whether it was answered, not answered, who answered it, listen to the records about it, everything like that, how long the call lasted. So we can do a lot of they can do a lot of really neat metrics back with that without too much ease, and link back to the actual call again. So really nice interface in pulling all this off. So next, as we kind of look at it, the next kind of big thing is call metrics, right? So how many people are using like call center or running a call center? Okay, so we got a lot of that. So one of probably the biggest things that's most important to you is measuring the metrics of the effectiveness of the agents. How much time are they spending on the phone? How much time are they spending outside having a smoke break, or all those sorts of things. Measuring how effective their calls are, things like that, and how they can best achieve that. So Affinity 4 is a call center, and this is how they use Sugar in their integration. And the nice thing is again, since we have the data from Asterisk, we have the customer information from Sugar, we can kind of pull all this together and use Sugar as a reporting front end to all of this. So let's kind of take a look at how this is possible. So we can see they're logging in. And the nice thing here is you can do it in two different ways. A call center agent can actually log in and see their metrics, of how they're doing. Or a manager can also go and look at, the metrics of the people underneath them. And this is their homepage, which they seem to be quite proud of. So we can see they have a time clock module here, which we'll take a look at. And you can see here they can do a report on themselves and see, okay, well, on this day I've spent this much time break, this much time customer care, meetings, missed calls and whatnot. They can do the analytics. They've assigned goals with it, so they can see their percentage in relation to other agents, and they have their goals also within it, so they can see how much if they're hitting their target goals or not. So it kind of gives them some feedback on how well they're doing as well. And they have how much time they've actually spent talking, how many time they're on wait, their totals, and whatnot. And the nice thing is here, which I'm hoping they're going to show here. And yeah, they have the breakdown of the time too. So that's kind of a summary view up top. They have a nice breakdown here of everything down below, of all of the time that they, each individual call and each individual thing they've been doing. So they can clock in and clock out for breaks and things like that. But, we're on the phone, that time is automatically grabbed by Asterisk, pushed into the system, so they don't have to really do anything. They don't have to really worry about breaks, which is nice. And they can also search across, a longer period of time as well, as we'll see here. And the nice thing is when they can do that, it kind of gives a more of a summary view. It's not quite as detailed as you would look for a certain day. But it gives a little bit more of a summary. So it says over this period of time, I've done this much sales. I got this is my commission and my commission rate. My call quality score, my follow-up, all that kind of stuff, my phone productivity. So all of those sorts of things, they kind of define internally what their percentage metrics that they're trying to hit. But this here gives them a way that they can look at it and they can drill down and see how many. I'm going to look at my sales. How many were there? And they can drill down and see, oh, these are the sales I made. So it's really nice. And all of this data here, they're going to kind of drill down, I think, on the customer. Because again, the nice thing about Sugar is all the data is related. So you can see here, oh, here's the actual invoice and everything like that within the customer. And they can also export all of this data as well if they go to that, yes. They can export this data as well into Excel for like a CSV format. They can export it into like a performance chart so they can see over time what their performance has been, and it will draw us out a really nice chart of how that would look, which should open up here. So it builds out a chart of saying, what their performance is, and then based upon everybody else's relationship performance, and gives them something, something they can kind of work with. So really, really neat integration here that they've done overall, I think, and really kind of pushing, taking what's already kind of in both systems and pulling them together and leveraging the data really, really, really well. And I think that's really one of the strong points about this integration. And again, it's nothing revolutionary per se, but it's actually just pulling things together really nicely, and it helps them automate their tasks a lot faster, which is kind of the whole goal of what a CRM system is to it's not just kind of one of those annoying systems you have to throw data into. It's something to make your team more productive, and so this provides a way to get that data in there a lot easier, a lot more cost effective, and with less error prone as well, because a lot of it's being pulled in automatically. So So as we kind of look into the future here, I've kind of showcased a couple, neat things that are going on in this space, but by no means is it a very defined space. I mean, there's been a lot of loose one-off projects. I think, in some areas, I think having a community approach, and I come from a very open source community background, and when you kind of have that community approach, you get a higher quality product, I believe, in the end. So a lot of my goals here, this is my first Astricon I've been to, and I'm really excited to be here, even though I had to fight the snow to get here, is to really kind of help build a community between both projects. I think, they're both ones that are serving on a very important niche in the market, right? The open source way, and telephony and CRM. They're just very natural things that go together. So what I'd love to see kind of in the future, I'd love to get, especially a lot of you guys who are in the room that are using these technologies, to kind of help build that community. So, two things I love to see come out of it. One is, better plugins to really get to a lot of these common needs. We showcase there's a couple plugins out there. They kind of handle some of the basic stuff. But as we can see, we have customers that are doing really deep, amazing integrations. And it would be kind of nice to help bring these out a little bit into the light of day and let people kind of start hacking on them and find ways to integrate into their current solutions. And with that, I'd like to kind of get a joint SugarCRM Asterisk community formed. We really don't have that today, and I'd love to see that kind of come together. And I'm working with Brian Johns on the Asterisk side and the Digium side and kind of helping develop that. If you're interested in being a part of it, please let me know. jmertic at sugarcrm.com or DM us. There's the Twitter address finally shows up at SugarCRM Dev on Twitter. And let us know. And and if you want to, I'll be around tonight at the after party. I'll be around here a little bit this afternoon. Come up to me, exchange cards. I'd love to kind of try to get this community together because I think we can really build some neat solutions. I've been working with this customer, Affinity 4, and they're looking to maybe open source some of the solutions that they've worked on. And I think it can really benefit the community overall. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. Is there any questions?